All right, so welcome back with Miss Need. Lesson 11, we're looking at part 2 still on fractions and whole numbers. Now we have 15 dots here. How would I find one third of 15 dots? Okay, so what I can do is I can divide the group of dots into 3 groups. All right, so if I have these 3 groups now, how would I find a multiplication or a division problem? So from this, if I have 1/3 of 15, I already know that the answer is 5, right? Because in 1/3 of 15 is 5. But if I wanted to look at what would a multiplication or division problem look like from here, this looks like an array. Something that we should all be familiar with. We have 3 rows and we have 5 columns. So I know that the multiplication statement here would be 3 times 5, and that's 15. And 15 tells the total, 3 tells how many groups, and 5 is saying how many are in each group. Now for division, I'm going to do the total. So 15, right? I'm going to do the total. Then I can divide by how many groups, and then I'll find out how many are in each group. All right, or I could say 15 divided by 5, so the total divided by how many in each is equal to how many groups there are, right? So what division statement or equation could you write for 1/6 of 9? Now if I just go back here for a second, 1/3 of 15 equals 5. Which one of these multiplication statements says that? This one right here, right? So what I've done is I've taken the total, divided by 3, and came up with how many are in each. It's exactly what we're going to do here. So we're going to go 9 divided by 6 equals, and I can show this to you. 1, 2, actually I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to make 6 groups, and I'm going to put, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but now I'm going to have 3 left over, right? So I'm going to cut those little ones in half. So that's 1, that's 2 there, and that's 3 there. So I have the total number, I have how many groups, and I want to know how many are in each. I have 1.5 in each, so I can either write it as 1.5 or 1.5, depending if you drew it out, or if you did it on your calculator. On a calculator, you would get this. Okay? Now, what if I have 1/3 of 12? Now, that is equal to 4. Okay, so because 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And what that looks like, if I have a number line, right, this is 12, this is 0. I've got this divided into 3 pieces. This is 3, and this is 4, and this is 8. All right, it's very messy all of a sudden. Okay, right? Now, if I draw this out, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's what that would look like, right? Now, what is 2/3 of 12? So if this is 12 divided by 3 equals to 4, what happens when you have something in the numerator? So this is 1/3 of 12. This is 2/3 of 12. So I know that this is going to be equal to 8. But how do I write this as a division statement? So I would say I have 12. I'm going to divide it by 3 groups, because there's 3 groups here, right? Okay, and I want to know how many pieces that I have. So the total number of pieces, that's what this number up here is going to give us, is the total number of pieces. So we know that this is already going to be 4, right? So I'm going to get rid of this. And then I'm going to multiply by 2. Now if I break this up into steps, I know this is 4. And then I'm going to multiply the 4 by 2, which is going to be 8. And that is the amount that we have in 2/3. So again, what I did is I took the total, 12 pieces, right? I divided it by how many groups I split it up into. Okay, and then I'm wanting to know how many pieces in total. So this would be 4, and then I'm going to say that there's 2, and there's 8 pieces in total. Okay, so you take the 12 divided by the denominator and then multiplied by the numerator. All right. Now we're going to get into a little bit more work here. Like, what can you take a fraction of? Obviously, we've talked about you can take fractions of measurement, you can take fractions of time, you can take fractions of almost anything. You can take a fraction of a population. I can take a population of people and say, you know, the population of Canada, on average, they have 1.2 children. Now, obviously, people don't have children, but it works out when you say this family has no children, this one has 1, these guys have 2, these ones have 3, 4, 7, whatever, and it averages out to 1.5 kids. Now, I want you to think about this number, 1/40th. Okay, is this a small fraction or a large fraction? Okay, what if I said I have 1/40th of the Canadian population has poor access to medical services? Now, is that a lot of people or a little bit of people? Okay, so the population in Canada, we're just going to keep it a round number here. So 1/40th of, 30 million people. Now, do you think that's going to be a large number or a small number? Well, let's take 30 million people and we're going to divide that by 40. And what does that equal? So pause the video and do that for yourself. All right, so that would be 750,000 people. Now, is that a lot of people or a little bit of people? Okay, so now I'm just going to ask you this. What if, do a different question. I have 1/40th of the people in the world have poor access to clean water. Would that be a lot of people or a little bit of people? Now, what if I told you that 1,000 people in the world had poor access to clean water? Would that be a lot of people or a little bit of people? So like 1,000th of a pizza would be like a crumb, right? So I'm looking at this in comparison to the world population. So there are 6 billion people in the world. Okay? So I'm going to just take 1/40th of 6 billion people. Okay? So pause and use that on your calculator right now. So 6 billion, I'm just going to write it like this, divided by 40 is equal to 150 million people. Is that a lot of people or a little bit of people? 150 million, right? That's a lot of people. Now, what if I said 1,000th of a billion? So I have, 6 billion. So I have 6 billion people and I'm going to take 1,000th of it. That's like saying I'm multiplying by 0.001. Okay? Now, is that a lot of people or a little bit of people? I want you to think about that and calculate it yourself. So pause the video. Okay, so that is 6 million people still. So if oftentimes you might be interested in knowing this, research when you're researching on facts about different things, like especially in our water unit, if you're researching these facts, some people will try to distract from the numbers by saying, oh, 1/40th of the population, only 0.001% of the population, or one of the population, blah, blah, blah. They'll use these numbers instead of giving the number of people, the actual number of people, because it's much nicer to say, it sounds much nicer, ooh, only 1 out of 1,000 people. But if we're looking at the population of the world, okay, that turns out to be 6 million people. So don't let those numbers distract you. Okay, so make sure you calculate those out and don't let the numbers actually fool you. Okay, so when you're looking at word problems, okay, there's lots of words in these word problems that can be changed into symbols that will help you solve your problems. Okay, so just a reminder here, more than, right? That's one of those. More than is like this. If I was going to say something is less than, I would go the other direction. It's not, hey, the alligator or crocodile is going to eat the bigger number. No, this symbol actually means more than, and this symbol facing the other direction actually means less than. Okay, definitely not a crocodile. All right, is. Okay, I can replace with an equal sign. Half. Okay, 3/4. Then there's other ones that you know as well already, right? So if I was going to change this, Callie's age is half of Ron's age. Ron is 12 years old. So if Ron is 12 years old and Callie is half of Ron's age, how old is Callie? So I would go 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. And Callie is 6 years old. Okay, so I have some problems for you on your sheet, so make sure you go and practice those. If you're having any problems at all, please make sure you're coming to the help sessions.